Sports Podcast. Each week we are powered by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. In addition to doing their tree work, they can also haul rock and sand. They can do driveway work and can now do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. We are live at the Roman Oven Pizzeria here in the Americas Village Shopping Center. We'd love to have you come by and hang out with us for a little while, get a good supper while you're here, and let's talk a little high school football. Our co-host Scott Westbrook couldn't be with us tonight, so I am proud to join an aspiring young broadcaster, my good friend Logan Luton. Logan, glad to have you with me tonight.
Thanks for having me back. Last time I was on here, got a lot of opportunities open to do some broadcasting outside, talking about football on the radio, so thank you for that.
Logan is one of these guys that is aspiring to do this for a career one day, and hopefully he can look back many years from now and say this is where he got his start. But I think you'll be as impressed as I am. We've got a good show lined up for you tonight. We will review the games of Southland Academy, Sly County, and Sumter County, and we'll also preview any upcoming games that those teams may have. In just a moment, we'll also bring in Coach Brandon Byram, the head football coach at Taylor County High School, and we'll bring him in shortly to tell us a little bit about his team. But Logan, let's get started first with Southland Academy. Southland, because of the weather last week, had to move their game to Monday, so they did not play on Friday. They come into this week's contest with a record of 1-6. They're actually not playing this week. They're off this week. But they come into the week with a record of 1-6. Their opponent last week was Terrell Academy, who was very heralded. They had a lot more numbers than Southland, but Coach Chance Jones' group really hung in there, and it was a close game until right at the very end, and Terrell Academy pulled away with the 13-10 victory. But, Logan, it seems that week in and week out, Chance Jones' group just keeps competing and getting better.
Well, you do hate to see when it doesn't show up in the record book and the win-loss column when you're fighting, but you can see as a coach keeping these games close, and this one being a 3-point game, you can see when the team is fighting, when they're showing their grit, but it's unfortunate when that doesn't translate to wins.
When we look at what Southland has next, Southland will play in 2 weeks against Trinity Christian in Dublin, and I did want to take just a brief moment to look a little bit at that game, and let's look at Southland's region in the new GIAA Class AA region. But Trinity Christian out of Dublin is their next opponent. Their record is 4-2 right now. One of the interesting things about Trinity is they are coached by former Southland head coach Bruce Lane. And Bruce was a good friend of ours while he was here, really good guy. So I know a lot of the Southland crowd's going to enjoy seeing Bruce once again. When you look at the records of the two teams and the people they've played, here's something interesting, Logan. Trinity has played 4 games against Class AA opponents and 2 games against Class A opponents. Well, how does that compare to what Southland's done? Southland has played 5 Class AAA opponents, 1 Class AA opponent, and 1 GHSA opponent. So I don't think there's any question that the Raiders will come into this contest a little more battle-tested.
Absolutely. As strength of schedule is something to look at. Like I said, the Southland record is not the greatest, not something you like to see. But you look at some of the, like you said, the grit they've been showing, how they've been fighting some of these tougher opponents. You can't always expect when going against a tougher opponent, as long as you're fighting, you're happy with it.
Logan, we've got in front of us the GIAA Class AA rankings, and one of the things that stuck out to me, there's 10 schools in this ranking. Southland at 1-6 right now is still ranked number 6. And when you look at strength of schedule, they have had the toughest strength of schedule out of all 10 of those teams.
Absolutely. That's, like I said, the 1-6 is not something you like to see, but you're positive that they're staying up there in the rankings, that they're going to be able to turn it around. And when you see, like I said, it's close games, fight, tough, gritty play, that'll turn around once you start playing opponents on your similar skill level.
Absolutely. Now, Trinity Christian hasn't played a real soft schedule. In fact, if you look at Trinity, they're currently ranked number 4, and they've got the 5th toughest schedule. So they've played some good AA and single A teams, but Southland certainly with the Deerfields and the Westfields and those guys that they've been playing, they're battle tested coming in. Southland fans, if you're looking at who should you be concerned about when it comes to Trinity Christian, their quarterback is a guy by the name of Ben Castro Pavedo. He's currently 34 for 58 passing. He's thrown for 497 yards. And here's the key to him. He's thrown for 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. So very, very efficient with the football. But you can't just focus on him offensively. They've got 2 good running backs. Bryson Barnes has got 10 receptions, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The running back Wade Register has 609 yards. So they come in with a really good offensive attack, Logan.
Yeah. Well, it's important to, as a defense, be willing to counter and make all your plays and read what they're doing. And you've got guys like Turner Simmons and Ethan Beck who are just flying to the football, making so many great tackles and good plays. And when you're going against a balanced offense, you love to have a couple good guys on defense who you can put, like they got a couple receivers, a couple running backs you can match up when you've got your couple guys. And it's good to see guys who are willing to fly to the football, make strong tackles. It's good to have guys spearheading that kind of defense. And also going against a team with a good passing attack and rushing attack, those linebackers need to stay disciplined. You can't just, if they run a couple times in a row, you can't just start flying downfield, because that's when you get beat over the top. You have to be willing to stay home, make a good read, and make a smart football decision.
Absolutely. Like the point. Turner Simmons, we're glad to see him back after an injury that took him out for a half. Good to see that Turner was not injured any worse than that. And like you mentioned, Ethan Beck has really stepped up at the linebacker spot for the Raiders. So that'll be in 2 weeks. It'll be in Dublin at Trinity Christian in Dublin. Kickoff is set for 7:30 that Friday night. If you can't make it to Dublin, remember that Rusty Tundy and Melvin Kinslow will have it on 98.7, and we hope that the Raider fans will join them there. Today's program is also brought to you by One Digital Solutions. They are a steward of business growth and personal development. One Digital resolves real problems by fusing together things like human resources, financial services, and employee benefits. It's really everything all in one. It's One Digital. Contact Will Peterson at 229-347-6289 and let One Digital begin helping you today. That gets us to the Sly County game. Sly County will come into this week's contest with a record of 3 wins and 4 losses. This past week, lost to Macon County 46-29, and really in disappointing fashion, Logan. Sly County had a 22-9 lead at the half and allowed Macon County to outscore them 37-7 in the second half. This week, they'll be back at home and they'll face the Taylor County Vikings. The Wildcats, as I said, had a devastating loss at Macon County last week. Coach Darren Alford's team had multiple penalties in the second half that kept Macon County's drives alive, giving the Bulldogs multiple scoring opportunities. And Logan, I thought it was really interesting when we look at the Sly County region. Macon County and Taylor County both come in right now with undefeated. They're the only 2 undefeated teams in the region. Macon County's overall record 4-3. Taylor County at 4-1. So it's kind of been a little bit of a surprise to those of us that are Wildcat fans. So I think we kind of felt like Sly County would certainly be in the mix at this point. But tip your cap to Macon County and Taylor County. Both of those teams have shown up so far.
Absolutely. And it's something, you don't like to see it, obviously, if you're a Cats fan, that you're not as high as you thought you would. But a game like that where you're winning at halftime and then you come out and just get blitzed in the second half, especially when penalties did it, you kind of shot yourself in the foot. So they say that's a game you come back next time and the next week and you come back just angry. You come back as a defense, you're ready to hit somebody. As an offense, you're ready to just go off big plays left and right. This is a game I look for some potential high scoring in this one.
One of the big things we're going to do tonight is we don't normally get a chance to talk to the visiting coach, but Taylor County's not far from here, and it's going to be good to talk to Coach Brandon Byram. Let's see if we can bring him on into the show. There he is. Coach Byram, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Coach, I think they've got you muted.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm wrapping up a JV game right now, so.
I hear you, Coach. Tell us a little bit about your squad this year.
We got a great group of kids. They play hard. That's the best thing I can say about them. They're good kids, and they do good in school, and they play hard on Friday nights. That's the best way to describe them.
Coach, as you're looking ahead to this weekend, what are some things your team's going to need to do to be successful against the Sly County Wildcats?
Man. We just got to keep basically just doing what we've been doing, trying to focus on us and making sure that we're doing the right things to put us in a good spot to win a game. Don't shoot ourselves in the foot and execute and do all the little things that we try to practice on. They've got a great program. They've been on a heck of a run. I'm not sure how the state win totals are, but over the last 4 years, I would imagine they're at the top of that list. They've got to be close. So they've had a really, really, really great run, and they've got a great team this year too. It's going to take a great effort for us to go down there and get a win.
Coach Byram, it looks like from the outside looking in that you've got things moving in the right direction there at Taylor County. I'd like for you to share some thoughts on where you see Taylor County football right now and what does the future look like for you guys?
Right now we're 4-1 and we just beat Rutland in JV, so we're 3-0. We're winners tonight. We're just going to try to be winners tomorrow too. And as far as the future of it, I have no idea. I don't get into there's no telling. We just try to do things the right way and let it fall where it is. And right now, we're 4-1, like I said, and it's been going our way, and we're going to try to keep it going that direction.
Coach, if you had to say right now what the strength of your team has been up to this point in the season, what has it been?
I think they're an actual team.
I got you.
We play team ball. Sometimes we give up some yards, we give up some points, and we have a good night offensively. And sometimes we don't play well on offense, and the defense has held them down and kept us in the game. And, we played decent on special teams. Sorry about that. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
No, we couldn't hear it.
We've played decent on special teams all year, and they've bought into being a team, and I think that's our biggest strength.
Coach, we want to wish you the best of luck. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night over in Sly County.
Looking forward to it, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
That's Coach Brandon Byram from Taylor County. They'll be at Sly County tomorrow night. Kickoff is at 7:30 from Wildcat Stadium. We hope that you will be able to be there. Today's program is also being brought to you in part by Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. You can reach them at 928-3686 or look them up on Facebook. Better yet, drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their staff and let them discuss your insurance needs with you. They can even do the discount double check to make sure you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Thanks again to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. That gets us to the Sumter County Panthers. And there's a lot of talk, Logan, here in our area about how well the Sumter County Panthers have done. They come into this week with a record of 6-0. Last week had a big 56-6 win over the Jordan High Red Jackets. And this week's opponent will be the Spencer High Green Wave. Sumter County did something last week that we don't see very often in Georgia high school football. They actually played 2 games within the same week due to the weather. They moved their game with Jordan up to a Wednesday night. And Logan, it didn't matter what night they played on because Sumter County, the Panthers were far superior. They remain undefeated this season. And here's what I want to look at as we go into this week, Logan. Their opponent is Spencer. Spencer's 4-2. What has Sumter County done? Who is the most battle tested? Well, Spencer's having a pretty good season. They come in at 4-2, but here's who their wins are over. Dooley County, who's currently winless. Griffin High, who's currently winless. Jordan High, who's currently winless. And Kendrick, who has won 1 game. I think I originally thought they were winless, but they have won 1 game on the season. So all those 4 wins, if you take the win total from everybody that's been involved with that, they've had 1 win. Do you feel like that makes a difference?
Well, it does. And even some of these Spencer losses, you look at it, they played Carver. They only lost by 8 points. 17-9 was that final. So that's a tough game. And maybe in some other circumstances, maybe weather, maybe just something was in the air that night. But it was a close game. And then against Lovett, they lost 46-29. So not as close of a game. But strength of schedule does matter. And when you're playing these teams that are not as good, you don't have to be on your A game. You don't have to be playing your best football every week to come away with the win. In Sumter County, they've had to make some gritty games. Most of their games have been blowouts, a testament to the good offensive play and just phenomenal defensive play. But then you get a game like Shaw where they won by 1 point, and you see the grit that this team has. And even their first game against Crisp County that's kind of set a tone for how the season's going to go. They won that game also by 1 point, if memory serves.
That's
correctly.
right, 20-19.
Right. So you have this team coming in that can play A, offensive football, and that can play phenomenal defensive football and does every week for the past 2 seasons, really, against a team that hasn't really had to be tested so far. So I do think this may be a little biased, being that I commentate Sumter games and go to all of them. I think Sumter's going to come out of this one fairly easily.
I think so too. But Logan, you bring up a good point. We can say all day long that these teams they've played only have 1 win, but when you look at what they did against Carver, they held that game close, and we all know what kind of program that Carver has. So when you talk to Sumter County fans right now and you try to throw that logic out, they always point back to that Carver game and say, yeah, but here's a great team that they played and they kept it close.
Yeah. But it's going to be an interesting game to see. It's going to be fun. This is the first game the Panthers have played against a team that's looking pretty good this year. This is their first really test of an opponent besides Crisp County, but not at this point. We thought they were going to be good at getting this year, and
now
so
they're
far,
1-5, I think.
So how that turned out, but this is the Spencer team. They have potential, like I said, for being 4-2. You don't have to play your best ball to beat some of these teams, but you still have to play good football. Any team can lose on any given night. That's why they still play the games. But this Sumter County team, they've shown that they can come back from behind. They can jump out on you early. They can do just about anything they need to do to win a football game. And powered by that strong defensive play, it's going to be real hard to get into the end.
Well, and you really led me well into that because, Logan, you get to see these guys every Friday night. And what we're told every week is the Panther defense just flies to the football.
Absolutely. Swarm tackling is a specialty of this team. You see it up in the booth. It's difficult to name who made the tackle because there are so many of them just piling on to anyone who has the football. And it really starts at the second level. The defensive line is good. The corners and backs are good. But these linebackers, they play such an important part in that defense that you just really have to see them to understand, because they've got three quality guys, Donovan Minter, Kendall Thomas, and A.J. Kears. They fly to the football. They stay home on their reads. They are good football players. You can tell that they've studied the opposing team. You can tell that they've studied professional players and players at the higher level to see what they need to do to improve their game. You can tell they're well coached. They swarm to the football. They hit hard. They hit fast. They play back in coverage well. There's about nothing on that field that they cannot do.
And one of the guys we've talked some about on this show already this year, Ishmael Jones at the quarterback. I think there were a lot of question marks coming into the season. Would it be Ishmael Jones? Would it be Jayshawn Bobs? Looks like Ishmael has kind of established himself as the starter, and over the course of the season has really improved.
Well, he has improved. I think you hear a lot about the game manager role that a quarterback plays. You don't have to be a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady. You don't have to be a massive playmaker. If you've got a good group of guys around you and you just know when to get these guys the football and how to do it, you can win games all you want. And I think that's the role he stepped into perfectly. There's no problem being a game manager, having that ability to just see he's a playmaker. Let's get these guys the football, being able to do that efficiently and effectively. And that's the role he stepped into. There's still a couple question marks here and there, but if you take a step back, like he's in high school, hadn't a lot of experience starting quarterback. He's doing a phenomenal job. And the pieces around him, he's got some seniors guiding his way, Cordarian Leverett, Montavis Reeves catching passes for him. He's got Kears and Tatum to run the football. He's just got these really good pieces around him. He's been doing a good job of peppering in these offensive playmakers that they have.
Logan, let's take a quick look at Sumter County's region. Sumter's currently 6-0 overall, 3-0 in the region, and sits in first place. They're tied with Carver, actually a half game back. Carver's 5-0, but also 3-0 in the region. Shaw comes in at 3-3. Spencer, their opponent, 4-2. Both of those teams are 2-1 in region play. And then you get down to the bottom, and you've got Hardaway, Columbus, Jordan, and Kendrick, all that are kind of the cellar dwellers, and they'll fight it out amongst themselves. I know Will Rogers. I've talked to him many times, and Will is not going to overlook somebody. If they can get the win this week against Spencer, it's going to set up a massive matchup next week with Carver.
Absolutely. And really, winning this game, after you win this game, this Sumter team has a very good chance of either going 10-0 or going 9-1. I think this game is kind of the one you look at. It's like, are we going to be able to – do we have a chance at winning out for the rest of it? Because, not to say that if you lose this game, you have no chance against Carver, but you're a lot happier about your chances going into Carver game after beating Spencer if you're able to pull that off. And so I think that – this Spencer game, this is going to say a lot about this team. And like I said, the way they handle their first real test, because so far they've had a couple non-region opponents, and then they've played really the region opponents that are kind of lesser known, that aren't as good, aren't looking as good this year. And they'll finally have a team that is on a similar level as them, so they'll be able to see how they're going to handle it. And if you beat this team, this good Spencer team that held Carver down, if you boat race this team, you see what you can do to Carver. Because they held Carver to 17 points. If you go absolutely crazy, drop 45 on them, and go insane offensively, you like your chances against Carver.
Panther fans, I know you like to hear that. We hope you'll go out and support the Sumter County Panthers this Friday night. They'll be at Finkley Robinson Stadium out in Shell Field. Kickoff is set for 7:30. Today's program is also brought to you in part by the Fish House Restaurant. Located at 224 North Jackson Street in Americus, they offer some of the freshest seafood in all of Southwest Georgia. Whether it's fresh shrimp, oysters, or catfish in the Seafood Center, or a hot meal and a cold drink in the Fish House next door, owner Mark Tyler and his staff want to serve you tonight. Give them a call at 924-5177. And by the way, they do to-go orders. You can call that number, 924-5177, and place a to-go order, or you can sit down and eat with them. Do that tonight. The Fish House is a proud sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. So that gives you an idea of all three of our area teams. Logan, let's look at a few area games other than those teams. And I know some of these have been postponed due to weather. One of those we found out today. A big matchup was supposed to take place at Lee County. Lee County at 6-0 was going to host Coffee County, who's 5-0. But as many of you know, the Douglas area has been devastated by Hurricane Helene. And so they have postponed that game due to the hurricane damage that was done down in the Douglas area. Macon County at 1-4 is going to host Crawford County. Crawford County's 2-3. Maxwell Ratings has got Crawford County favored by 3 points. I'm not sure I agree with that. What about you?
Well, having not seen these two teams play, my granddad Rick here in attendance came in clutch. He got some numbers about these, some points per game, and having Macon County allowing 33 points a game and Crawford County allowing 26 while scoring 23 themselves. That makes me think that Crawford County is going to be able to pull this one out just off of the way they've played, the statistics of what they're doing. They seem to be a lot more balanced, and if Macon County is allowing 33 points, only scoring 17, that does not bode well for them, as you can see by their record.
Absolutely. I have not seen Mary County up to this point, but we have seen Crawford County. Crawford County's got a really good quarterback, not many tools around him as far as skill position guys go. And so if Marion County can key on that quarterback from Crawford County, I think they're going to have a lot of success. Logan, I'm going to go with Marion County. Who are you going with?
Well, having not seen him myself, got numbers, I'm going to go Crawford.
So Logan's going with the numbers. I'm going with the gut. We'll see who wins this week. Macon County at 4-3. They're off this week. Also, Crisp County, who is 1-5. That's really uncrisp county-like. But they're 1-5. I understand their game has also been postponed due to the hurricane damage in the area of the team they were playing. As far as our local predictions, Logan, Southland Academy also off this week. Hopefully that will give them a chance to heal up, get some guys well, and get their numbers back up. Here's one that kind of interests me. I know you got a lot of numbers on this. Taylor County comes in at 4-1. They'll play Sly County. Sly County is 3-4. Sly County, according to the Maxwell rating systems, is still a 3-point favorite. What do you think?
I see these numbers, and they don't paint Sly County's defense in a very positive light, having them allowed 32 points per game. But they've gone up against some tough opponents, being Irwin County and Seminole County. They've had some really good offenses, really high-powered teams. So a lot of those points are against teams, not that you know you're going to lose, but you come
Very
in,
good teams,
right?
yeah.
You come in expecting you're probably going to give up a lot of points. High-powered offense is happening here. So I'm going to push that to the side. Sly County, after last week's loss, being ahead so much at halftime and then losing kind of badly in the end, getting blitzed in the second half. That's a team that come in angry. They're going to come in ready to clean up those mistakes in practice. We have a lot of penalties. I'm sure that was addressed first day of practice with some running and some form of something. But you really come in looking to turn it around. That's what really frustrates a group of guys, especially those guys on defense who just you have a good lead, you're shutting them down, and then boom, a switch flips. They're just points.
That's what happened.
You just feel helpless seeing something like that. Wonder, what did we do? What happened here? So that's a team. They're going to come in mad. They're going to come in ready to play. Going to come in looking to make a big statement, and I think they're going to win.
So you got Sly County.
I do.
My wife tells me I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm not. I'm going to go with what I really think could happen. And Sly County has been struggling, no question about it, especially on the defensive side of the football. Not a very good job tackling the football or the ball carrier. Gunnar Watson, who's helping with the offense up at Taylor County, and Coach Brandon Byram have done a really good job. They're 4-1. They've got a lot of confidence coming into this game, and I'm telling you, they're hungry to beat the Wildcats. I hope I'm wrong as a Wildcat fan, but I think Taylor County is going to pull this one out. I think I'm going to go with Taylor County in a close one. And that'll get us to the Sumter County-Spencer game. Sumter County comes in 6-0. Spencer at 4-2. Sumter is a 12-point favorite. What do you think?
I think that's going to get blown out of the water. I don't think it'll be anywhere near 12 points in Sumter's favor. It's homecoming, So the crowd's going to be there in full effect. These players are going to be ready. And I'm going to shout out 2026 junior class. That's why I'm part of it. A lot of these guys, I went to school with them back in the day, and these are the difference makers. Your juniors and seniors
That's right.
on homecoming, they're going to be showing up and showing out. It's going to be an offensive show, and the defense is going to back them up with some big hits and some exciting plays of their own. I think it's going to be big time Sumter win.
So Logan and I were on two different sides of the first two games. We're going to be on the same side on this one. Will Rogers' group, the Panthers, are going to blow this one out. It's going to be a 3-touchdown or more game. Sumter County is going to win this one big. We do have an announcement from the Georgia High School Association that we want to pass along to you. The Georgia High School Association announced this week that 1 week will be added to the football schedule due to the extreme damage from Hurricane Helene in many parts of Georgia. This means that the Georgia High School Association playoffs will not start until November the 15th and 16th. That's 1 week later than had previously been published. And we'll do that so that many of the teams who were forced to cancel games can make those games up prior to playoff time. So kudos to the Georgia High School Association. Logan, would they catch a lot of criticism a lot of the time? I think they made the right call here.
Absolutely. It eliminates a lot of teams who may feel unjustly eliminated from playoff contention with the uncertainty of having maybe -1 game on some of the opponents. It's always good to have clarity, have everyone on an even playing field when determining playoff position. You're obviously not going to make everyone happy. We see that a lot of times with decisions on who gets to the playoffs, like the college football playoff and stuff like that. People are not always going to be happy. But when you have everyone in a similar playing field, it makes it a lot easier for them to make decisions like that.
So remember, you've got a couple of games you can choose from tomorrow if you're in this area. Of course, Sly County hosting Taylor County, and the Sumter County Panthers are hosting the Spencer Green Wave. Logan, this has been a lot of fun. Man, I hope you'll come back and do this again sometime when Scott's out of town again, or if I'm out of town, maybe you could fill in with him. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I think you've added a lot to the show.
I've absolutely loved it. I'd love to be back.
And we want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Thanks to my good buddy Logan for filling in for Scott. And Logan's going to come back and be a part of this again. Maybe toward playoff time, we'll even get him in here with Scott and I. He always brings a lot of stats that Scott and I are too old and not technologically sound enough to get. And that'll add a lot to the show. Want to thank our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, One Digital Solutions, Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance, and the Fish House. Make sure to like and share this video with your friends. We had over 3,000 views last week on the program, so our viewership continues to grow. We hope that you're enjoying it. If you are, make a comment on our Facebook page and let us know that you've been watching. For my good friend, Logan Luton, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.